Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, I'm going to take a subject today and take it by the horns. So I want you to know that the information on today's program was gathered from many different places, many different people. So it's not all about you. Now, today's program is entitled Growth and Change Are Scary. Now, the reason this comes up, it seems like to me in today's world, everyone is afraid of something or someone or just afraid of themselves of being a success. Excuse me. And I think that that's the part that really kind of gets me just a little bit. You see, if you're not scared, in my world, you're not growing. If you're just so complacent that everything is just going willy-nilly and, it's just all nice and, well, I don't know what world you live in, but I don't think you live in the real world. You see, every day things are going to happen around you, and the big C word, change. If it scares you and you don't know how to grab a hold of it and enjoy every moment of it, well, I'm going to encourage you to do that. So if you're not scared, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you certainly are not living. You're sitting somewhere and you're just kind of watching the world go by. So many times I hear people say the whole fact that, I just can't seem to get ahead. They use the can't word a lot. And the reason for that is they're not taking any action. You see, when you take action, that C word goes away. Well, if you're not living, you're stagnant. And if you've ever seen the green scum on the top of a pond, well, that's what stagnant looks like. So being scared means being alive. I've been afraid or scared to do lots of things in my life, but you know what? I've had to take and head to face them head on. So the question comes down to is, do you want to be that green on top of the pond, or do you want to be like a clear running brook, gathering knowledge and growing into a stream where you can share with others? You see, when you're a little stream, oftentimes they run into a bigger river. That means you're always learning and you're always changing, foregoing a new path to be shared all around you. So I'm going to encourage you to get out and try something new. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting to do? What's holding you back? What's the one thing that if you did today, right now, would change your whole life? Do you even know what that is? Well, I wonder, do you know what your vision is, your future picture? Have you figured out what your mission is, why you're here on earth, and what you're supposed to be doing? And do you have a strategy, put together a day-to-day plan so you can live your mission and achieve your vision? So what are your excuses for not trying something new? You see, excuses in my world are just excuses. They're just that, excuses. And it means nothing. It just means that you didn't take any action. You didn't even give it an attempt. To live life to its fullest, I am going to tell you that you have to have action in your life. Without that action, you're just stagnated on the world of living. Now, I'd like to give you some ways to look at this and put it into place and actually take some action on it. This whole thing that we're talking about here, about growth and change. First of all, you need to be authentic. You need to be authentic to yourself because you have to live with yourself every single day. And you have to live within yourself. So do you know your values? Do you know your morals? Do you know what your the things you won't do? How authentic are you? Are you one way at work, one way at home, one way you're at church, one way you're out driving a car, and another way when you're with your children? Or are you consistently the same person? Or at least 95% of the times. We all slip from time to time. In order to get out of this rut of being scared, you need to forget those who did you wrong, because they definitely have forgotten you. Now, I often say that, you can forgive, but don't forget. And some people shame me for that. But I can forgive the actions of folks. I do remember and hope to goodness and give them the benefit of the doubt that they won't do it again. But you need to remember and learn from it. My grandfather always had two questions when these things arose: is what did you learn from that? And what would you do different? And those two questions go right along with this. So if those folks aren't in your plan, if they're not, pumping you up, if they're not providing you an ability to move ahead, forget them. Move ahead. Remember those who have helped you, because they have always remembered. The people who have helped me throughout my life, I still stay in contact with, and I would hope that the people who call me on the phone or send me an email or send me a letter or stop by the house, I hope they're the ones that feel I have helped them. You see, this thing of helping one another is definitely a two-way street. And if you're doing this, you have no reason to be scared of the future. I'm going to encourage you to find the silver lining in everything, unless there's a golden one, of course, and find it too. You see, I've learned in my life that no matter what happens to me, even some of the terrible things, there's been some good that has come along with it. Sometimes it's just merely a good lesson that I've had to learn for myself. Ask questions, because they're what leads to good answers. Learn how to make good questions. And I'm going to tell you what, when you're asking good questions of those around you and what's happening in the world, all of a sudden, growth is not so scary. You find out that you're not the only one, and everyone's trying to do the same thing. And that is learn to live within their world. I'm going to encourage, of course, that we always take the high road, no matter what other people say. I found over and over that when we take the high road, we eliminate that situation where we might slip back and release ourselves from living by the values that we hold so dear. So taking the high road, even sometimes when you feel like it's going to hurt more than it's going to help, is the right thing to do. So doing what's right, no matter what, that's what you need to be doing. Choose your values and live confidently in your character. Now, it's been said that character is something that happens when no one's looking. But I also tell you that character is something that happens daily. It is something that builds upon what you're doing every single day. And I'll have to tell you that oftentimes it only takes one mistake to remove it. You see, character is right there with trust. And that's a big part of how we work and we interact with other people. Oh man, treat others as you'd want to be treated. How we allow someone to treat us oftentimes is how we're treated. And my grandfather, actually Miss Robin's grandfather, said to us one time, if you don't want them to do it twice, don't let them do it the first time. If you don't want them to do it twice, don't let them do it the first time. And this is really that big piece. So as you treat other people, repeat that to yourself. Would you want someone to treat you that way? And if not, don't treat them that way. You see how we train other people to treat us. oftentimes is how we treat them. Different way of thinking of it. But when you do it the right way, you have nothing to be scared about anymore. This one is a big one. Change what you can and let the rest go. Change what you can and let go of the rest. Let it go. You see, there's certain things in life that you just have no ability to change. That doesn't mean you can't work towards it. It doesn't mean you can't join a group and try to make something happen. It doesn't mean you have to change your face and your mind and your values and your morals. What it means is change what you can. Stand up, make a stand, and make a difference. And know when to step away. That's what it means. The trust you give is the reverence you will receive. You see, that's what I was telling you about. What you give is what you get normally. Some people, like my loving wife, she gives no matter what, no matter how someone treats her. She's a wonderful person to know how to do that. And I thank the goodness that she has shown me. So we encourage others that no matter how you're treated, you don't have to take and respond in that manner. You see, that goes with responsibility. You have a choice on how you will respond. Never ask anyone to do something you would never do yourself. That's one I learned very quickly when I was out working outside as a lineman and then as an instructor. I found that when you tried to have someone do something you had never done, they very quickly realized that you were not walking the talk. That's why when I hear somebody say, just fake it till you make it, it just kind of makes steam come out my ears. And that's because when you're faking it to try to make it, people recognize that you're a phony. And I'll tell you what, when they recognize you're a phony, trust goes out the door. Respect stops right there before the door opens. If you cannot give what you have not got. That's the whole point there. So think about that before next someone tells you to fake it till you make it. There's a large networking organization that's their mantra. Sorry, we here at Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training Development do not agree. We know that when you try to fake it, the people around you know it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, if you grew up anywhere in the South, your mama or your grandmama told you that. You know, just because you can jump off the bridge doesn't mean you should jump off the bridge. Think about it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Does it match up with your vision, mission, strategy? Does it match up with your values and your goals? You see, when you start matching those things up, it starts looking at your character, your trustworthiness, your responsibility, who you are as a person. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now this next one, I'm going to encourage you to really think about heavily. Maybe even write it down. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. My grandfather always said mistakes were just learning tools. He went on to explain that failure is probably the most positive word that you can come across with if you do two things when that happens to you. Ask yourself, what did I learn from that? And what will I change? What will I do differently next time? You see, that makes a mistake a learning tool. And I don't think you even need to do much but move on. Now, if you've done something to someone else that's been a mistake, it's been a misunderstanding, then you need to stand up and apologize. Do what you can to correct the situation. But then you need to move on. You can't spend your whole life in the background. Always keep your word. If you want to have this growth and change so you're not scared all the time, always keep your word. Do what you say you're going to do and do it. Do it to the best of your ability. Do more than what's required. Always keep your word. Now, if you find for a reason that you're in the hospital, you've had a terrible accident, someone's passed away in your family, and for some reason you cannot keep your word, you need to at least have the gumption and the dignity to give the other person a phone call, write them a letter, find them face to face, tell them what's going on and why you were unable to take and keep your word. Oftentimes, I've had to not keep my word, but tell the people and then go back and do it later. You see, keeping it meant more to me than putting it off. I grew up in a world where a handshake, even a verbal handshake, meant a lot. It meant more than signing a piece of paper. And so always keeping your word was something I grew up with. And when you shook someone's hand, it was a done deal. You never backed out on it, ever. So be consistent in all you say and do. Always keep your word. Consistency is the key to success, right along with persistence. You see, when we are doing what we need to be doing in a consistent manner, then I guarantee that it turns into success by doing. Again, this is that taking action part that I've been talking about. And being consistent means I'm the same way at work, at home, at church, at Boy Scouts. No matter where I'm at, I'm the same person. And I'm going to be consistent in my thought, word, and deed. You see, that means a bunch. And not only that, but that's what builds respectability as well as character. And so you do not have to be scared of life. Always play fair, no matter what. You know, when I was growing up, it seemed like we'd make up our own rules to the games, and we would make them up sometimes on a daily basis as we went. And as we grew up, we found out that life had its own set of rules. And those set of rules were really steadfast and worked every single time. In today's world, we find a lot of times that all those rules that have just been put aside, and everything's accepted and everything's okay as long as someone does it and says it's okay. Well, what I'm going to tell you is always play fair. Always play by the rules as you know them. Don't make them up as you go along. You know what? That just is going to take and confuse you and confuse everyone else, as well as get you in trouble somewhere down the line. So always play fair no matter what. Always be kind. Everyone has a hard fight ahead of them. You know, you never know what's going on in someone else's mind when they come up to or you meet them on the street. Always be kind to those folks. You just never know what's going on in their world. They might have lost someone near and dear to them just moments ago. They could have just lost their job. They could have had trouble with their child or have trouble at home with their spouse. Being kind doesn't hurt you any at all, but it takes the scariness out of living your life. Make all the small things count. One of the things that I have found is the small things in life that not only make other people happy, but they make me happy in doing them. Now, if you think about that just a moment and how that goes together, I want you to say to yourself, wow, those little things. Taking out the garbage, undoing the dishwasher, raking the yard, bringing home a flower, so whatever those little things are that your significant other or spouse really like, didn't hurt you a bit. Do the small things that matter. Open a door for someone. Hold the door for someone. Bring in a grocery basket out of the parking lot. Do something. That's just little things. Make the small things count. They'll make other people happy as well as you. This next one, I have to tell you, give more, expect less. Go above and beyond. You know, this thing for tit for tat was way overused. I think that whole problem builds more problems. Well, they did this, so I need to do that. Well, they did this for me, well, I need to do that for them. Back and forth, keep up with the Joneses, back door, next door. You know what? Hey, why? If you give more than what's expected of you, you're going to do one thing and one thing only. You're going to make yourself happy. It's a good thing. And when you're happy, you're not scared anymore. Make your word your bond. I'm going to have to tell you that goes right up there with, do what you say you're going to do and do it. I don't care if it's in person, it's across the phone, it's on an email, I don't care where it is. You give your word, it's your bond, it's going to be done. Come heck or high water, you're going to see it through. Man, I'll tell you. Don't want to be scared anymore? Do what's right, even when no one's watching. You see, this whole thing has been about that, if you think about it. This whole list that I've been giving you so that you can go through growth and change and not be scared is really this whole thing. Do what's right because it's the right thing to do. It's amazing to me that sometimes I've had to actually go out and ask if it was the right thing to do. That I struggled with those type of conferences and those type of information. But I've had to do the right thing, what I felt was right in my heart. Not what someone else thought, but what I thought. And then I had to live by those consequences. And yes, every choice has a consequence. Some good, some not so good, but everyone does have those. Someone tells you don't have a choice, just smile at them and say, I always have a choice. I might not like the choice I'm going to make, but I'm going to have to learn to live by it. So what exactly does that mean? How does that exactly go through your life? I want you to think about how that actually works. Well, I want to put this in your mind and let you think about it. Lead from within. Lead from within. The code of our lives are what help us conduct ourselves rightly and have the right outlook on life. They provide guidance for our leadership, for ourselves and others. Now, we've gone through a pretty good list here of things that I believe will keep your life on the growth area so you don't have to be afraid of anything that's happening in your life. If you think of some that I should have added to this, I'm good with that. Give me a phone call, 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. I would gladly do that. If you'd like this list or you'd like this information from today, send me an email and I'll be glad to send it to you. Just make sure you write down growth and change are scary, and we'll get that to you right out. Now, I'm going to refer back to where I started because I believe it's that important, things that we're doing. So it's kind of a poem situation, so just kind of relax and listen to what I'm going to say. If you are not scared, you are not growing. If you are not growing, you are not living. If you are not living, you are stagnant, like a green pond. Be scared and be alive. Be a clear running brook. Gather knowledge and grow into a stream. Gather more, share more. Become a river, always learning, always changing. Forgoing a new path to be shared by all around you. Get out and try something new. Take a chance. Be scared. You see, I like it because when we look at the other things that we've talked about, be authentic, be your authentic self because you have to live with yourself every day. Forget those who did you wrong because they definitely have forgotten you. Remember those who helped you because they haven't forgotten. Find the silver lining, unless, of course, there's a golden one. Ask questions because they're the precursors to answers. Always take the high road, no matter what others say. Choose your values and live confidently in your character. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Change what you can and let go of the rest. The trust you give is the reverence you will receive. Never ask anyone to do something you would not do yourself. Just because you can does not mean you should. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Always keep your word. Be consistent in all you say and do. Always play fair, no matter what. Always be kind. Everyone has had a hard fight ahead of them. Make all the small things count. Give more, expect less. Make your word your bond. Do what is right, even if no one is watching. Lead from within. The codes of our lives are what help us to conduct our lives rightly and have the right outlook on life. They will provide guidance for our leadership of ourselves and of others. Interesting information that we can help one another go and grow through our lives without even being scared. How much fun can that possibly be for you and me? Now, if your group or your organization know and would like to have me come and teach, or you would like to take one of our classes, you just get a hold of us. Some of those classes that we can do with yourself or your whole team would be How Not to Lose Your Bass in Business. It's a workbook for entrepreneurial spirit that I wrote. It is a bestseller, and it can help you grow yourself as well as your business. We also have another one called Soar to Success with Coaching Skills. This is one that we put together for 52 tips to empower others in becoming a leader in your organization. Something really good to add to your skill basket. Of course, if you're looking to be a coach, we also have one, Soar to Success with the Business of Coaching. Again, 52 tips on starting a coaching practice. If you're working with your team and your organization and you really wish them all to get on board in the same way, we do the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And that's a 6-week course we do in the evening, or we can do it in person. We also have the 360 Leader from John, which is a great course on how to lead from the middle and always be a leader no matter where you are and what position you might hold. One of my favorites, of course, is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. It's a way for leaders to learn how to make sure that they're connecting with everyone around them, and those around them are learning to hear what they're saying. And of course, another favorite of mine is Put Your Dreams to Test, a way to look at your company and find out, are we really living the way we should be? Now, I see our time is growing short, and so on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, we want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. Our hope is that you've received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you with your leadership ability. Now, if you have any questions or comments on today's program, we encourage you to call 727-422-1833 or send an email, dick@ewfw.org. Or go over and take a look at the website, www.ewfw.org, and you can always leave a message there. Now, when you know that you're ready to take and have me, Dick Powell, come and do a leadership instruction or a keynote speech, again, contact us and we'll make it happen. And until next time, this is DW the Wrangler saying, ride hard, ride fast.